Have you ever wanted a team so good it beat every galactic legend in under 30 seconds? A team so good that God Himself chiseled them. Well, we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the Bad Batch, though, and they're an amazing team. Now, I have compiled information from several discords and from online and personal use to figure out what the best, what I consider to be the best modding preference to be. So we're going to be starting with Hunter, and we're going to talk about his kit a little bit. So first thing we got is Combat Prowess. This is his basic ability. The game would stop lagging. So on Hunter's basic, he has an expose. This is where the potency comes in as an importance on him, but it's not quite necessary. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict expose for 2 turns. If the target enemy is debuffed, attack again. So the reason expose is important is because it does a lot of damage. So expose does percentage health base damage, so it'll do the same amount of damage to someone no matter their armor. I believe I think it's 10% damage or 10% HP. So if someone has 10 exposes and you hit them, you die. I think that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure, but all I know is expose hurts really bad and it's really important. You want to aim for those guys. Moving on. This is going to be a really long video because this is so laggy. Sorry about that, BlueStacks crashed. So his second ability is kind of like it's an AoE. And this one's important because this protects your other Bad Batch allies from damage by putting them under stealth. It also gives them quite a few buffs. So Clone Trooper allies gain evasion up, stealth up for 2 turns. Then deal physical damage to all enemies. If Hunter is already stealth, all Bad Batch allies gain critical chance up and offense up for 2 turns. Now, why is this important? Because critical chance up and offense up are very important. They do a lot of damage. However, I think, in my opinion, I think that most of their damage comes from the exposes that they're giving out constantly. But it's still an important ability to have. It's an offensive and defensive ability, so it's a great ability. So moving on to his third, inflict expose on target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be evaded. Hunter swaps turn meter with the target other clone trooper ally. Now remember, that says he swaps turn meter. He doesn't give them a turn. He swaps it. So let's say Wrecker has 50% turn meter and Hunter has 100% turn meter. He swaps. So now Wrecker has 100% and Hunter has 50%. That's how that works. Make sure that's fine print. That stuff is important. If they're a Bad Batch, they ignore taunt. Sorry, I missed that. Hunter swaps turn meter with target other clone trooper ally. If there were Bad Batch, they ignore taunt, inflict stun for 1 turn on their target enemy during that turn. This stun can't be evaded. This is very important. This is a very nice ability. Anytime a stun is unevadable is amazing. That's very nice to have. And lastly, we're moving on to his lead. Now, there are a lot of people who like to run Shaak Ti lead, and they are not wrong. I personally don't like that. I like to run Bad Batch as they are because I like to put Shaq T, who's a great support character, in other places. So we're just talking about the Bad Batch here. So basically, Bad Batch allies have plus 35% max health, max protection, and 50% potency. Remember that potency. When Bad Batch allies use an ability, while they have defense up, they deal true damage to all enemies. This is their biggest thing here. When Bad Batch allies use an ability while they have defense up, they deal true damage to all enemies. So this means when they have defense up and you throw a knife at, a buzz droid, it's going to do damage to all of the other ones as well. All the other players or units. While Bad Batch allies have evasion up, they have 50% critical avoidance. When using an ability against a target locked enemy, Bad Batch allies can't be countered. When damaging an enemy with exposed, Bad Batch allies remove 50% turn meter from that enemy. Now, that's also very important. This is how you get a turn meter train rolling with the Bad Batch. Now, you can't really get a train rolling because the train can be stopped. But 50% turn meter, that is a big deal. That's almost like losing a full turn. And they're handing out a lot of exposes. And now, unless you got someone who can stop turn meter, like, turn meter remover like Hux or Kenobi, whatever. It's not quite as effective, but it's double for droids and separatist enemies, excluding raid bosses and galactic legends, which can't be evaded or resisted. Now, when I read that, the first time I read that when they were coming out, and it said double for droid allies and separatist allies, I knew immediately that this was going to counter General Grievous, and it did. I think there are some situations in which Nuke Gunray can stop this counter from occurring. But it's not 100%. He does make it very difficult, though, when he's passing around Prophet and whatnot. Moving on to the modding. We're not going to be looking at my mods. We're going to be looking at the mods that I made. Now, this is just the mods I have here are just like ideal. Like if you wanted to invest everything in Bad Batch, this is the mod set I would use. Now, all these mods, you're going to look at them and say, why would you have a 29 speed mod on this guy when you can have it on like Lord Vader or something? This is not who I have these mods on. I just set these mods up as an example. Now, if you're a huge fan of the Bad Batch and you want to have them just be absolutely insane, then sure, throw a bunch of crazy mods on them. I don't think I don't think it's necessary to do that, because I don't think, whether or not they have amazing mods or just meh mods, I don't think it's going to change the things they can and cannot counter. I don't think it will change it. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I haven't done that much testing into it. But let's look at Hunter, since we were talking about him. So, for Hunter, I went ahead and I did an offense set with a crit chance, secondary. And as you see, he is doing some crazy damage. That's a lot of damage for such an easy character to unlock. 282 speed, which is very nice. And I chose offense because I did say that potency was very important, and most of the damage comes from potency, but just having that extra bit of offense makes a huge difference, and every tiny little bit counts. And that's about all I have for Hunter. Let's revert that. We don't want to have those on there. That was just like a tester. Let's move on to Wrecker. Now, Wrecker is our tank. We all love Wrecker. He's our goofy guy. So on Wrecker's basic, we have deal physical damage to target enemy. If the target enemy was target locked, inflict speed down for 2 turns. And if he's furious, he attacks again. Now, Wrecker does not do a lot of damage, so if he's furious and attacks again, no one cares, because it does not do a lot. He does not do a lot of damage, but he is very tanky, and he stays taunting. He's one of those good tanks that actually taunt. Juhani. He is, I think he shines best with having, what's her name? Omega. Because Omega forces him to taunt. So his basic's very simple. Moving on, I hate that word. Clone Trooper allies recover protection equal to 5% of Wrecker's max health, which you want a lot of health on this guy, so that's going to be a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot. 5% doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. It's a big deal. Wrecker gains +1 Fury for each stealth character. Remember what Hunter can do. Then dispel stealth from all enemies. Remember how General Grievous starts. Everyone's under stealth except for that Buzz. Bad Batch allies recover protection equal to 20% of Wrecker's max health and protection. Bad Batch allies gain 10% turn meter for each character who was stealth. Remember Hunter. So these guys are getting all kinds of turn meter and pulling turn meter. And that's when he's furious, of course, this here. So moving on to his third ability, my favorite. I love seeing this ability. It looks amazing. This is Wrecking Ball. Deal physical damage to all enemies. Gain taunt for 2 turns. All Clone Trooper allies gain defense up. Remember that defense up. And tenacity up for 2 turns. Furious inflicts stun on all enemies for 2 turns. Now, the stun can be resisted. It can be resisted. So the defense up that you get from that, remember, you give all Clone Trooper allies defense up. Now, if you remember, our boy Hunter, in his lead, it says that Clone Trooper allies with defense up deal true damage to all enemies. So, as soon as you lay down this Wrecking Ball on your enemy, you're now dealing true damage to all enemies until you lose defense up. That is crazy. That's a lot of damage. And Dauntless Commando. At the start of the battle, Wrecker gains plus 20% max health, max protection for each other Bad Batch ally. Wrecker gains 1 stack of Fury for each Clone Trooper and each Bad Batch ally. Whenever Wrecker gains stealth, he dispels it and gains taunt for 1 turn, so he can't go under stealth basically. Whenever Wrecker takes damage from an enemy, he gains 1 stack of Fury. At 10 stacks, he loses all stacks of Fury and gains Furious for 2 turns, and which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. When Wrecker gains Furious, he gains taunt for 1 turn. So basically, his kind of like your goal is to get to Furious, because of all the bonuses he gets from having Furious. The stun, the what else did he get? He attacks again with his basic, but that's not that great. And he has a massive heal, so not heal, but protection recovery. So Bad Batch ally, when he's furious, Bad Batch allies recover protection equal to 20% of Wrecker's max protection. He already has a lot of protection. That means everyone's going to be boosted up. You know, your team's getting low, you got beat up, you ate a few of those onslaughts from Grievous. You hit this while he's furious, everyone's feeling better, everyone's doing better. Wrecker's kind of like a healer in a way, and a tank. So talking about mods, let's go over here to assign loadout. Now, remember what I said, this is not the mods that I keep on them because I allocate my mods to different people, different teams that I need. I have an 11,400,000 GP account. I cannot keep mods like this on one team, especially not the Bad Batch. So what I have going here is a lot of health. I want this guy to be practically invincible. 303 speed is ridiculous. There's no reason that your Wrecker should be that fast. But this is basically to show you what he could be. That's even pretty good damage for a tank for Wrecker. But I went all health. I feel like this is the best thing for him. Now, there are some people who say that it's good to have maybe 2, maybe 4 potency sets on him. if you want to sacrifice a little bit of the health. I don't. I've seen my personal wrecker actually eat a sudden whirlwind. So I prefer the health and the protection over the potency, over the stun. But you're not wrong if you want to put some potency in there for that stun. So we're going to go ahead and move on. To our boy Tech here. Love our wisecracking Tech. So this is our support character. I've got him at Relic 7. So his first ability, Call the Shots, deals special damage to target enemy and inflict target lock for 2 turns on target enemy and the healthiest enemy that didn't already have it. If target enemy has already target locked, attack again. So basically he's always going to shoot twice because he inflicts target lock with his first, but if they have target lock, then he's basically always going to basic twice. He's got a pretty boring basic. He doesn't do a crazy amount of damage, if I'm honest. It's also not the worst damage. He's very mid. Very mid. Delicate Operation is his second ability here. Tech and target other clone trooper ally recover 40% of their max protection. You will mostly use this on Wrecker. Sometimes other ones, because here's the thing about the Bad Batch. They all kind of bounce off each other. They all kind of need each other. Just like in the show. So 40% of their max health doubled if target ally is Bad Batch. Gain potency up and stealth for 2 turns, in translation for 3 turns. If Tech was already stealth, all Bad Batch allies gain translation for 3 turns. Oh my god, I cannot wait to read translation. His third ability is he kind of rolls this little grenade. I love this ability. So dispel all debuffs from clone trooper allies. All Bad Batch allies gain foresight, stealth, and tenacity up for 2 turns. Deal special damage to all enemies and inflict stun for 1 turn on enemies that are dazed or target locked. So dispel all debuffs from clone trooper allies. That is a mass debuff. That is a huge deal. So not saying this would ever win against Darth Revan, but if you're not very familiar with Darth Revan, he inflicts a lot of debuffs. His team does, especially Nasty Basti. So what'll happen is Darth Revan will jump in and he'll mess up all your turns. And if Nasty Basti's there, she's going to throw down her, I think it's called, I forget the name of the ability. It's her second ability, and it causes these debuffs to go everywhere, all over your team. Now, you would never get a turn, but if you did, when you use this ability, it gets rid of all that. It'll get rid of all that. So it's super helpful. I love this ability. This is the kind of ability I like to try and hang on to. There's 2 stuns on this team. This is not one I would rather wait for Wrecker to get his Furious stun than to try and get a stun off this. Unless it's really situational, because who we're going to talk about in a minute is Echo, and Echo actually opens the battle usually. He's one of the faster characters in the game, and usually you're going to open the battle with his third ability, where he kind of like kneels down and he messes with something. Because it causes daze and healing immunity on all the enemies. And if all the enemies have daze, if you look right here, stun for 1 turn on all enemies that are dazed and target locked. So they're all going to be stunned. So that's an immediate mass stun, depending on the turn meter. Moving on to modding. Now remember, this is not my personal mod. I took information from several Discords. I took information from people. I took information from testing. I let myself fall down in my squad arena down to the lower 400s so that I could fight people with, not GL squads, just to test speeds and test how things work out. And basically, what I've come up with is tech. So tech, you want this guy fast. So he's 334 here. That is insane. Insanely fast. You would not need him to be that fast. He would never be that fast unless you wanted to. But I want speed and I want potency on this guy. I want this guy to make sure he's landing the debuffs. He's dispelling the things I need him to dispel. I've actually got a lot of potency on him. Getting those target locks out there. So potency and speed is kind of what you're looking for with this guy. And we're going to move on to our dear friend Echo, who is the backbone of this team. This guy is... You do not have the Bad Batch if you do not have Echo. He is too important. So starting with his first ability, Daring Defense. Deal physical damage to target enemy. Grant defense up. There's that defense up again now. An evasion up for 2 turns to the weakest clone trooper ally who doesn't have them. Now, the weakest clone trooper ally, I would assume, would end up being Omega. If not Omega, probably Tech. Either way, just off his basic, they are now dealing true damage to all enemies, which is a great thing. So that's his basic. Moving on, one step ahead. Love this ability. Inflict buff immunity on target enemy for 2 turns. Inflict expose on all enemies for 2 turns. There's those exposes. So now every time you hit them, they're losing 50% turn meter. That is huge. That's a big deal. And buff immunity. Buff immunity is amazing. Dispel all debuffs on target other clone trooper ally and call them to assist. If they are 90% of the time, you're going to want to call Hunter to assist. If they are a Bad Batch, this buff immunity can't be dispelled, and Echo increases the target enemy's cooldowns by 1, excluding Galactic Legends. This attack can't be evaded. This is something you're going to want to use on Hunter mostly. This is what I use it on, because Hunter, if he has defense up, he will usually end the battle pretty quickly there. And that's about all there is to that. Moving on to the big one. This is the ability right here. Clone Trooper allies gain evasion up for 2 turns. Dispel all buffs on all enemies. That means no stealth, no taunt, no healing, no health up, no crit chance up, no offense up, none of that. All gone. Dispel all buffs on all enemies and inflict daze and healing immunity for 2 turns. Probably the 2 most important debuffs in the game. And he has them both, which is amazing. For each buff dispelled, Clone Trooper allies gain 10% offense until the end of their next turn, and Bad Batch allies gain 5% turn meter. This attack can't be evaded or resisted. That is insane. And this guy already has a lot of speed. This is not even my made up mod set. 369. This guy is fast. He is usually going first. And to be able to drop healing immunity and daze on someone right at the start of the battle, the whole team can't be resisted. That's amazing. And one that survives. So this is his unique. Whenever a Clone Trooper ally gains or loses a buff from a Bad Batch ally's ability, they recover 4% health and protection, double for Bad Batch allies. Whenever a Bad Batch ally inflicts a debuff on an enemy, that enemy loses 8% protection. If that enemy had less than 50% protection and more than 50% health, they also lose 8% health. This effect excludes raid bosses and galactic legends. Wow, that's a vomit of text. Whenever a clone trooper ally gains or loses a buff from a Bad Batch ally, they recover 4% health and protection. So I think what this is, I think this is a stability thing. I think this is to try to kind of keep your team alive as you go through the battle. You're losing buffs, you're gaining buffs. And I think the idea here is protection recovery to try and keep the team alive a little bit better, since they do have a heal, but it's one. And this is a team I think is this whole team is very durable, and I think they really benefit off having things like this. And I think that abilities like this are actually very necessary. Did Blue Stacks crash again? I hate you. Sorry about that. Blue Stacks crashed again. Moving on to the mod set. I feel like I have to say this every time, but just one last time, this is not the actual mod set that I use. This is just a mod set. If you were to completely invest in them and you wanted them to be amazing, this is what I would recommend. And this is also the sets that I would recommend. You can still follow the set guidelines, but I wouldn't put your absolute best mods like I have in these loadouts here. So we were looking at, I think it was Echo, and with Echo I went potency and speed. Now 375 speed. That's insane. That is a lot of speed. There are not many people out there that's going to outrun him. I would almost say he could outrun some Moff Gideons out there. Maybe even some Ahsoka Tano's. I'm trying to remember Ahsoka Tano, how fast Ahsoka can. He's a fast boy. Just know that. I mean, this boy is fast. He lost an arm, not a leg. I put the potency in there because the potency is very important. Just on the basis of some of the characteristics of his kit, I decided that potency would be the best thing to put in there for that. You crashing again? Alright, last but not least, we got Omega. Everyone's least favorite character, but I think she's alright, honestly. So what we're going to talk about, she's the damage dealer. We're going to talk about her first ability, Disarming Shot. Deal physical damage to target enemy. If Omega has evasion up, inflict blind and daze for 1 turn. If Omega has a buff that can be dispelled and it's her turn, she deals damage again, dealing 50% less damage. You always want to see that on a damage dealer, dealing 50% less damage. I don't know, guys. Her second ability, sorry for not being so enthusiastic, I just find her incredibly boring. Deal physical damage and inflict target enemy with zeroed in. Dispel zeroed in from all other enemies, and Omega gains a stack of target practice. These effects can't be copied, dispelled, prevented, or resisted, and last until the end of the encounter. Zeroed in is removed from an enemy or Omega is defeated. If the target enemy is exposed, this attack inflicts target lock for 2 turns and removes 10% turn meter. Zeroed in. Omega has target practice while a character is afflicted by this. Omega can ignore, taunt, and target this enemy. So basically, I imagine if you wanted to get Grievous out super quick, if you can manage to get a zeroed in on a Grievous, I imagine it would trump that marked that Grievous will give out, and I imagine that's maybe where it would be helpful. I don't know. Target practice, 5% critical chance and offense, and 10% critical damage per stack. Here's the thing with her. I see these abilities, and if you look here, these are my actual mods on her. I have like pretty good mods on her, with pretty decent speeds and pretty decent damage. See, I got 160 offense on my cross there, 16 speed with an offense primary. Not much offense there, but a lot of speed. See, offense, 2 offense pieces there. I got a tenacity because I didn't want her to get stunned for the buff. And I got some offense there. So I like to think I got pretty decent offense. I just don't see the damage in game when I'm playing with her. I just don't see her doing that much damage. Moving on to, we already talked about that, didn't we? Empathy first. I think this is probably one of her better abilities. Omega dispels all debuffs on herself and gains stealth for 2 turns. Bad Batch allies gain protection up 40% and defense penetration for 2 turns and 10% turn meter. That's amazing. That reminds me a lot of like Plo Koon ship. It's just like it's just like it uplifts the team real quick. And I think it's a great ability, especially if your team looks like they're struggling a little bit. I would pop this bad boy, and it's going to help out a lot. If Omega has critical chances up, Bad Batch allies gain an additional 20% turn meter and protection over time, 20% for 2 turns. If Omega is already stealthed and an enemy has zeroed in, she gains a stack of target practice. And that's about all there is to Omega. She's I think that all she needs is a little damage bump, and she would be a lot better. The weird thing is, though, even if she got a damage bump, Hunter really does most of the damage on the team. I mean, all the exposes, all the damage he does is. I feel like Omega should have been more of a support character than an attacker, because Tech kind of needs some help in the support department. But the ideal mods I put on her, I would never put this on her personally unless I had no one else to put it on. Is this 61,000 health, 288 speed? That's still like, that's fast, but not even that. She did come out to have a lot of damage, 9,458 damage. That's actually quite a bit of damage. And the 125% crit chance is also amazing. She does do good damage. I'm not going to act like she doesn't do good damage. Sorry, that snuck up on me. I'm not going to act like she doesn't do good damage, but could be better. It's basically the whole thing. And that is all I have for you guys this time around. Honestly, if you guys liked this video and found it helpful, I feel like I've succeeded. If you guys don't mind to go down to the description, there's another YouTuber who does Star Wars Galaxy Hero content. His name is Nooch. He helped me find my editing software. He also encouraged me to try to start making content. I've wanted to, but I've been shy. So I really appreciate you, Nooch, for doing that for me. So yeah, go check him out. And other than that, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again. If you guys want to see more, if you want to see me go over another team, I have most of the teams. Let me close. I don't know what's going on with BlueStacks today, man. It has crashed 4 times during this video. If there are any other teams or maybe some information you guys want me to look at or look into and go over with you and give my opinion on, I will gladly do that. All I need you guys to do is to let me know what it is, and I will read comments. I don't expect this video to be real big or nothing, but I will be reading comments to see what you guys think. And also, I would really appreciate it if you guys would actually go and critique my etiquette and the way that I do these videos, what you think should change. I would really appreciate that because I need the help right now. Let me go here. So as you can see, I have just almost all the characters unlocked. I have everything. So if there's a character you're working on that you maybe want some advice on for modding or something, I will absolutely do that for you. I don't mind to do it. All I ask is that you go down in the comment section and let me know. Comment and let me know that you want to see something made about that character, and I will see what I can do. Other than that, guys, check out Nooch. I couldn't have done this without him, and I appreciate it. And you guys have a great day.